At 94, Warren Buffett still works daily, enjoys meals that surprise nutritionists, and somehow lives with a clarity and stamina that most envy. The real question isn't what's on his plate, it's what's behind his strategy. Because after 70, diet is no longer just about calories, it's about freedom. Freedom to travel, to walk without fear, to laugh with grandchildren without breathlessness. What's the hidden lesson here? It's not about copying Buffett's love for Cherry Coke or McDonald's. It's about learning how his principles of discipline, patience, and long-term thinking can reshape the way seniors approach food to prevent disease and protect independence. Stay with me, because later in this video, I'll reveal a rare insight about Buffett's habits that almost no one talks about, and it may completely change the way you think about diet and legacy after 70. But first, let's make this a conversation. Tell me, what's the one food you absolutely cannot give up after 70? Drop it in the comments. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, because this is more than a channel. It's a movement for seniors who refuse to let age silence their wisdom or their freedom. Warren Buffett has never hidden his unusual relationship with food. While the world expects billionaires to live on private chefs, organic greens, and exotic health tonics, Buffett often leans into the familiar and simple. He has famously spoken about starting his mornings with McDonald's breakfast sandwiches and enjoying several cans of Cherry Coke every single day. To many nutritionists, that sounds shocking, even reckless. Yet here he is in his 90s, sharp, active, and still making billion-dollar decisions. The point isn't that you should copy what's on his tray. It's about understanding the principle beneath the habit. Buffett's real secret is consistency. He doesn't jump from diet to diet or chase the latest food trend that promises miracles. His choices, however unusual, are steady, measured, and predictable. Seniors often get caught in cycles of guilt, enjoying a favorite food, then regretting it, then trying to erase it with a rigid diet that never lasts. The lesson here is not to banish comfort foods, but to bring them into balance. A slice of pie shared with friends is not the same as a week of unchecked overeating. Just as Buffett avoids risky investments that could topple his empire, seniors can avoid the crash and burn cycle of extreme dieting by focusing on portion control and steady habits. This perspective removes shame and brings back a sense of dignity to eating. After 70, food is not only fuel, it's memory, tradition, and joy. That Sunday meal with family, that coffee with a neighbor, or that small treat on a quiet evening carries emotional weight. Denying these moments in the name of perfection often leads to frustration and isolation. Buffett's approach whispers a different truth. Consistency matters more than perfection. Eating a balanced breakfast most days, adding vegetables to the plate regularly, and keeping portions reasonable will sustain health far longer than chasing every new diet book on the market. For seniors, this mindset is liberating. It shifts the conversation away from restriction and toward empowerment. Instead of saying, "I can't have that," the focus becomes, "I can enjoy this, but in balance." This is the same thinking that allows Buffett to indulge in foods he enjoys without letting them dominate his life. It is the power of moderation applied with patience. And when moderation becomes routine, health stabilizes, stress fades, and the guilt cycle ends. Do you agree that moderation is better than deprivation? Type yes in the comments, because your perspective might help another senior watching today feel less shame and more strength in their own food choices. But while moderation frees us from guilt, neglect traps us in hidden costs. A steady hand with food keeps us strong, but ignoring nutrition altogether builds what I call dietary debt. And that's where the danger begins. When people talk about aging, the focus often drifts toward wrinkles, gray hair, or slower steps. But those surface changes are not what most seniors fear. The true fear is losing independence. The freedom to board a plane without exhaustion, to drive safely without dizziness, to walk down a hallway without needing support. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Food plays a powerful role in deciding which version of aging we face. Neglecting diet doesn't always show up immediately. At first, it feels harmless to skip meals, lean on processed snacks, or ignore the importance of hydration. But over time, these habits quietly accumulate damage. It may begin with fatigue after simple errands, stiffness in the joints, or fogginess in memory. Left unchecked, they grow into frequent hospital visits, greater reliance on medications, and moments of frustration when the body refuses to cooperate. What seems like a small choice today, a sugary drink instead of water, a salty snack instead of fruit, can become tomorrow's medical bill or tomorrow's lost mobility. Warren Buffett often warns against risky financial debt because it silently eats away at freedom. Seniors face a similar challenge with what might be called dietary debt. Every neglected meal, every overindulgence in foods that deplete rather than nourish, acts like borrowing energy from the future. The body covers the cost for a while, but eventually the debt demands repayment, with interest. That repayment often looks like weakened immunity, slower recovery after illness, or the loss of stamina needed to enjoy life fully. The tragedy is that many seniors discover this too late, after a fall, after a sudden hospital stay, or after memory loss begins to interfere with daily life. But the hopeful truth is that unlike financial debt, dietary debt can often be repaid with consistent, thoughtful choices. Adding leafy greens, swapping processed sugar for fresh fruit, staying hydrated, and leaning on whole grains or lean proteins aren't drastic changes. They're small deposits that, over time, rebuild health reserves and restore energy. So the choice is clear. Neglect chips away at independence. Mindful eating preserves it. Most seniors don't long for perfection. They long for freedom. And freedom is not decided by age alone, but by the foods that either drain the body or strengthen it. The question to ask is simple. Are your daily food choices borrowing against tomorrow's independence? Or are they paying into the future you want to live? One of Warren Buffett's most repeated lessons is about the power of compound interest. He has said time and again that wealth is not built by one lucky break, but by steady reinvestment over time. Small profits, reinvested daily, create fortunes that seem unimaginable to those who only focus on short-term gains. Now, imagine applying that same principle to nutrition after 70. Health, like wealth, does not come from one dramatic change, but from the small decisions that quietly stack up every single day. For seniors, this idea can be transformative. Think about hydration. One extra glass of water each morning may not seem like much, but multiplied across months and years, it helps keep joints lubricated, digestion smooth, and energy levels steady. Consider fiber. Adding one extra serving of vegetables or whole grains a day doesn't feel dramatic, but over time it compounds into lower cholesterol, steadier blood sugar, and reduced risk of heart disease. Protein tells a similar story. A small serving of eggs, beans, or fish each day compounds into stronger muscles, reduced frailty, and a confidence to move freely without fear of falls. Here's where the idea becomes even more unusual and more powerful. Just as Buffett looks for investments that multiply returns, seniors can look to foods that act as interest multipliers. Fermented foods like kimchi, kefir, or sauerkraut don't just add nutrients. They multiply benefits by supporting gut health. A healthy gut improves immunity, mood, and even memory. It's a quiet chain reaction, much like compounding wealth. One smart choice unlocks benefits far beyond the obvious. The beauty of compounding is that it removes pressure. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet in 1 week. Instead, you reinvest in yourself daily. A handful of nuts instead of chips. A glass of water instead of soda. A spoonful of yogurt rich in probiotics instead of processed dessert. Each choice feels small, but together they grow into strength, clarity, and freedom that sustain your independence well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. So here's the reflection for today. Just as Buffett asks investors to think long-term, think about your plate the same way. What's one small food upgrade you could compound daily? Something simple, repeatable, and nourishing. Share below, because your answer may spark an idea for another senior who needs a starting point on their own health journey. Thaddeus Raynor had always been a man of strength and rhythm. For nearly 5 decades, he worked as a train engineer in Ohio, guiding locomotives across long stretches of track with precision and care. But retirement changed his rhythm. Without the structure of work, his meals grew heavier, his snacks more frequent, and his water bottle was often replaced by sweetened drinks. At 76, it all caught up to him. One morning, a mild stroke shook his confidence and forced him to confront a truth he had ignored. His body was quietly paying the price for years of dietary neglect. Doctors warned him to change, but the word diet filled him with dread. He pictured rabbit food, endless salads, bland meals, and a loss of every comfort that made life enjoyable. But Thaddeus was stubborn, and more importantly, he was motivated by love. His granddaughter, Lily, had once asked him to take her to Yellowstone National Park. After the stroke, that dream felt impossibly far away. It became the fire that fueled his recovery. He didn't want to survive. He wanted to thrive, strong enough to keep his promise. Thaddeus found his answer not in extremes, but in principles that echoed Warren Buffett's wisdom. The first was consistency. He stopped skipping meals and stopped binging late at night. Instead, he ate at steady times, letting his body regain balance. The second was portion balance. He didn't ban comfort foods, but he reshaped his plate so indulgences lived within limits. The third became his anchor, the legacy plate. Every meal included half vegetables, 1/4 lean protein, and 1/4 memory foods, walnuts, blueberries, or leafy greens known to protect the brain. This plate wasn't just food. It was an investment in his future, a declaration that he wanted his legacy to be strength, not decline. The results came quietly but surely. His energy returned. His blood pressure stabilized. Most of all, his confidence grew. For the first time in years, he felt in control, not trapped by guilt or fear. Months later, Thaddeus stood beside his granddaughter at Yellowstone, gazing at the geysers with tears in his eyes. His journey wasn't about perfection. It was about reclaiming freedom through small, steady choices. Thaddeus' story is a reminder for every senior. Change doesn't demand giving up joy. It demands balance, intention, and the courage to fight for the moments that matter most. What promise do you want to keep, and what small changes will help you get there? Warren Buffett is often described as one of the most patient men in business. While others chase quick profits, he waits. He studies, he plans, and he lets time do the heavy lifting. His billions were not built in a week or even a decade. They grew because he understood that patience turns small gains into monumental success. For seniors, this same principle can be applied to nutrition. Patience is not just a virtue, it is a weapon. Choosing long-term nourishment over instant gratification can be the difference between thriving into your 80s and struggling with preventable decline. Consider the daily pull of quick sugar fixes. A cookie, a soda, or a piece of candy gives immediate pleasure, but the crash that follows steals energy, strains the heart, and fogs the mind. Patience whispers, "Not now, not like this." It asks you to trade the momentary spark for the steady flame of lasting health. Seniors who build this resilience discover that saying no to the quick fix is really saying yes to more time, more energy, and more freedom. Practical habits make patience easier to practice. One of the simplest changes is swapping late-night snacks for calming herbal teas. Instead of reaching for chips or sweets before bed, a warm cup of chamomile or peppermint tea signals the body to rest. Over time, this habit compounds into deeper sleep, steadier blood pressure, and mornings that begin with clarity rather than grogginess. Another habit worth adopting is the food ledger. Buffett famously journals and tracks his investments, reviewing what works and what doesn't. Seniors can do the same with meals. A simple notebook that records daily choices, what was eaten, how it made the body feel, becomes a powerful tool for accountability and awareness. Over weeks, patterns emerge. Foods that energize, foods that drain, foods that trigger discomfort. This awareness transforms patience into strategy. Patience is not about denial. It is about vision. It sees beyond the quick sugar hit and imagines the stronger walk, the lighter heart, and the sharper memory waiting down the road. Each patient choice is like planting a seed that grows into resilience. The journey of nutrition after 70 is not about speed, but about direction, and patience keeps the course steady. Would you try keeping a food ledger for 1 week? Comment ledger if yes, because your commitment might inspire someone else to pause, to wait, and to build resilience in their own health journey. People often misinterpret Warren Buffett's legendary discipline with money. They think he is motivated by greed, by the endless pursuit of more. But listen closely to his words, and you'll hear something very different. His financial restraint has never been about piling up dollars for the sake of it. It has always been about freedom. Freedom from worry, freedom from unnecessary risk, freedom from the stress that destroys peace of mind. His real wealth is clarity. And here lies the rare insight. Seniors can adopt this same philosophy, not just with finances, but with food. Avoiding excess sugar, alcohol, or processed foods is not about rigid restriction or living a life of denial. It is about choosing freedom over chains. Every excessive choice chips away at clarity, mobility, and independence. Too much sugar doesn't just raise blood pressure or spike blood sugar. It clouds memory, drains energy, and limits freedom. Alcohol in excess doesn't just dull the senses in the moment. It weakens balance, increases fall risk, and steals tomorrow's vitality. Processed foods filled with hidden salts and fats don't just taste comforting in the moment. They quietly push the body toward frailty, dependence, and frustration. Seniors who fall into these traps often say, "I just want to enjoy myself." But here is the sober truth. Excess is not enjoyment. It is erosion. True enjoyment is found in the ability to take a trip without fear of exhaustion, to rise from a chair without pain, to hold a grandchild and tell stories without distraction. Every small restraint today preserves those priceless moments tomorrow. That is not restriction. That is investment in freedom. Warren Buffett's rare discipline shows us that wealth is not measured by what we accumulate, but by what we refuse to lose. For seniors, the lesson is clear. The real wealth after 70 is not money in the bank, but a body free from disease, sharp enough to savor memory, and strong enough to carry you where your story still wants to go. So pause for a moment and reflect. Are your daily choices creating freedom, or are they binding you in subtle chains? Buffett's secret is not denial. It is wisdom. And that wisdom reminds us that the richest life after 70 is lived with health, clarity, and the energy to embrace the people and places we love. As we come to the close of this journey, it's time to bring the lessons together in a way that not only informs, but empowers. After all, wisdom is only as powerful as the actions it inspires. And the truths we've uncovered today are not abstract ideas. They are anchors you can hold on to in your daily life. The first anchor is this: consistency beats perfection. Warren Buffett never built his empire by chasing every market swing, and seniors don't build lasting health by chasing every diet trend. What matters is the steady hand. Eating balanced meals most days, staying hydrated regularly, and honoring routines that give your body stability. These matter more than perfection. Perfection is fragile. Consistency is resilient. The second anchor is clear. Compound habits create freedom. Just as compound interest multiplies wealth over decades, the little choices you make at the table add up over time. That extra glass of water, the handful of nuts, the spoonful of yogurt, the walk after dinner. These seem small in the moment, but over weeks and years they create freedom. Freedom from hospital visits, freedom from dependence, freedom to travel, and freedom to keep promises to the people you love. And the third anchor strikes at the heart of Buffett's discipline. Discipline protects your legacy. Buffett avoids excess not to deny himself, but to preserve peace of mind. For seniors, discipline in diet means protecting the body that carries your memories, your wisdom, and your family stories. It's about safeguarding your independence so your legacy isn't defined by illness or limitation, but by strength, clarity, and presence. Discipline is not a prison, it is a shield. Now I want to turn the question to you. What's one food truth you'll carry with you after this video? Share it in the comments. Your answer might be the reminder another senior needs to hear today. And finally, here's your invitation. This was Next Age Wisdom. If you found value in these lessons, don't stop here. Subscribe now, because in the next video, we'll reveal the 5 daily foods that give seniors unstoppable energy after 70. These are practical, powerful, and rooted in wisdom that keeps you moving forward. Your journey is not over. It's just getting stronger.